Now, I've woken up this morning with my towel in the air because I'm on my way to go and see the best thing to ever come out of Germany. And I'm not talking about the tennis players, Boris Becker or Steffi Graf. I'm talking about the Porsche 911. Now, the car in question is the unloved Porsche 996. And a lot of the Porsche aficionados say that that's the worst of the 911 range. I think that car is utterly beautiful. And I've already got a smile on my face. You know why? Because there is the car. And I'm never happier than when I'm looking at a Porsche 911, particularly a convertible. Yes, very nice. Ah, Shuey.
Hey.
Very
Hey,
nice to meet you,
how are
sir.
you?
I'm all right, yeah, not bad at all. Thank you for giving up your time today so I can come and see your car. So this is the one. For those of you out there asking, why is Mike saying 996 in one breath and 911 a minute later? This is a 911, but the model number used internally at Porsche was 996. Yeah. Well, that sounds really good. No nastiness, nothing come out the exhaust, no clouds of blue smoke. Do you mind if I take it for a test drive?
Yes, enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, that's good. Right, I'm out in a Porsche 911 convertible. And there is no way in the world I'm going to be driving a 911 convertible without rolling that roof back. Let me just try these ventilated discs, which are all round. So let's just make sure it stops in a straight line as well. And it does, nice. So I've got a good functioning car. Starts, stops and goes. It's not all good, is it? The IMS bearing, that intermediate shaft bearing, has to be done. There's no denying it. At 65,000 miles this year, it's going to be a problem. So it's best to address the problem, because if you don't, it's catastrophic to the engine. I mean, most cars out there have some kind of time bomb attached to them, whether it's a Van Osset bearing or a mid-range bearing. One or another car out there, a high-end sports car, has got some kind of Achilles heel, and the Achilles heel of this car was the IMS bearing. So it needs to be done. It's a good car. Drives really, really well. I can feel that it's been well looked after, but there is that one big maintenance problem that's going to face this car's future, and that's the IMS bearing. You wanted 18.5 for it?
Yes.
I was thinking 15,000.
That's a little too low.
I think you would sell this car for 17,000, but whoever buys this car from you is going to have to do that IMS bearing. I'd be happier at $16,000. What'd you say? Yes? Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's a great deal. I've just bought myself a 911 convertible. Guten Hagen, Herr Hansted.
A 996?
Yes, how about that for a cool car, huh?
So what year is this?
2000, good year.
So you checked the IMS bearing?
Do you know this is the first water-cooled Porsche? Should we celebrate that?
Yeah, but Mike, you've checked the IMS.
Since 1997, they made 200,000 of these. Should we not even be talking about that?
Mike, the IMS.
Of course I checked the IMS.
Good. So it's done?
No, of course it's not done. It's broken. That's why I got the car so cheap. That's what I chased on this car. I chased the fact that it would have a broken IMS bearing so I can get it cheaper, because I've got you, and I know you can repair it. It's got a couple of little bits we need to do, include... What? Don't look at me like that. IMS bearing, right? The rear lights don't work when you put it in reverse. That's it. And it's got a little bit of a grumble coming from the rear end. But talking of which, that grumble will be you at the rear end when you're doing that IMS bearing.
Now, ever since I saw this car outside the workshop, I feared one major job: the IMS bearing. Now, if you own a 996, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's pretty much on every single 996 forum. And if it's a job that needs doing, it's going to be expensive. Now, the IMS stands for the intermediate shaft, and on this car, it's its Achilles heel. And it's right here, buried at the back of the engine. And to get to it, I first of all need to remove all these plastic underguards, then the hydraulic clutch line, then the drive shafts, then drop the gearbox out, reveal the clutch, take the clutch off, reveal the flywheel, take the flywheel off, and that's before I can even see it. And if you imagine you're doing that at a Porsche garage, paying those expensive German Porsche fees, I got 2 words for you. Ka-ching. First step to get into the IMS is to remove the belly pans. And it's likely the IMS bearing on this car is the original one fitted at the factory. The purpose of the intermediate shaft is to drive the camshafts indirectly off the crankshaft. That should be the gearbox ready to come out. Secure the transmission to the transmission jack with the safety chains and then slowly ease it out. Using the pole jack to support the engine, I can remove the pressure plate exposing the clutch. And then finally the flywheel. It's heavy. Right, behind this little plate here, that is the infamous IMS bearing. But before I release it and get it out, I'm going to first of all drain the oil. Otherwise, it's going to make a bit of a mess. Now, although I've drained the oil, I'm just going to put this little absorbent pad in there because they're still going to leak a little bit. And there it is. That's the bearing. God, if I rotate the centre of it, yeah, that feels awful. It's really grinding. It's almost like it's full of sand. Mike. The bearing puller is just a bit of pipe with a threaded bolt down the middle. Simply thread it up to the bearing, tighten the locking nuts, and then slowly extract the bearing. And there she is. Now here's our offending bearing. Before fitting the new oil-fed retainer, I need to do a little bit of a modification to the crankcase, which means moving this old sway bar out the way. Now that modification I need to make on the engine is because of this little inlet here. That's how the oil gets into the retainer, and if I put it up here, you'll see that it actually fouls the casting there. So by making a mark here and here, and that's the section of material I need to remove so that this goes in. But before I do any grinding, I want to first turn to my old retainer. This, plus a lovely little rubber bung on the outside, actually turns into the perfect plug. And that will stop any swarf or material getting inside the engine. I'm using this die grinder to just slowly and carefully open up a space just big enough to accommodate that hole. It's better to remove small amounts and keep rechecking than go too far and then remove too much. Just lining it up to make sure it fits. It's absolutely perfect. Well, this adapter plate screws into where the filter was and gives a pickup for which I can run a hose all the way to the back of the engine. And then, of course, new filter. Right, next up, I get to install the actual bush, which is this piece here. And what's really clever about it is that inside there's this tiny little channel, perfect for allowing a flow of oil. But to get it in the engine is quite tricky. But of course, the kit accounts for that and supplies me with this. It's basically a bush insertion tool, which I think is a bit of a posh name for a bit you hit. Drop a nut, tighten that up, just finger tight. Perfect. This cap needs a load of grease on it. And then I just need a soft hammer. With a little finger of grease, I'm just gonna slide it around there. Take this little cap off, make sure that seats properly. It basically gives me something to hit. You can just hear the change in tone when it seats. It's really nice. With the new bearing in place, I can install the all-important upgrade, which is the oil feed, keeping the bearing nice and moist. And then to take oil from our oil filter adapter to the back of the engine, a nice little braided hose. And that's the IMS bearing done, and on the cheap.
911 purists might disagree, but suck it up. The 996 is a truly wonderful machine.
A 996?
Aside from the wow factor, we also had to address the fear factor, otherwise known as
the IMS bearing.
It's far less scary than it sounds. If they go wrong sort of catastrophically. Don't mess it up, Anthony.
I know you can repair it.
He also sorted the rear main seal, the rear wheel bearing, and helped her breathe a little easier. It's now a beautiful car, seal to shiny seal, but nothing's free in this world. We bought the car for $16,000. The IMS bearing kit was $17.25. The IMS speciality tool was $549. Rear main seal, oil separator kit, $228. Clutch, $724. The center console leather custom covering, $600. Rear wheel bearings, $300. Stock used air intake, air cleaner, $130, which gives us a grand total of $20,256. That's around £15,000, and all done in just 29 man-hours.
Top of the morning.
Top of the mountain, more like.
What?
Top of the mountain. It's a metaphor, isn't it, for the Porsche 996 is where we've come with it. It wasn't perfect, but it was perfect for us.
Yeah, but it had the main problem, didn't it? The IMS bearing. The original one's a sealed unit, has a lifespan. I've now plumbed it in. It's lubricated using the oil from the crankcase. It's now going to last the life of the engine.
Perfect for the future owner. And it looks amazing, the car on the outside. One button operation, 15 seconds, roof electronically folds back. And I love the lines. I love the lines with the roof up and now with the roof down. Oh, wow! Look at that interior. Well, when I got this car, do you know, it was pretty shabby inside. It was really let down by that center console, but now...
I know, it makes you wonder, why didn't someone buy the car brand new and have that extra?
There's 1,000 reasons why.
Okay, give me one.
Well, because it costs thousands on the options list. 18 years ago, it was a real lot of money. But I found that company that have done it for just a few hundred, and it looks absolutely brilliant. To the mountain.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Metaphors are done, Mike.
No, to the mountain. See up there? That's the mountain. That's where we're going. Get in.
I thought you'd never ask.
Now, I was fortunate enough to find the right car, this 996, with the right mileage, the right amount of work on it, and that IMS bearing. The car was already good when I found it, but now Ant has made this car fantastic. Let's see if I can put a deal together. So then, Jim, do you like what we've done? Do you like the car?
It's a beautiful car.
So why do you want a Porsche 996?
It's the best built car in the world.
I love that answer. It's a great answer. And do you like the stuff that we've done to our one?
Yes, definitely. I love the, you replaced the IMS bearing, the fact that you upgraded the center console, and it's a classic silver car. It reminds me of me.
Yes. The good news for you is you are standing here today to come and see my car that I've advertised at $22,500. Couple of weeks, it's going to be $24,000 because the prices of the 996 is just going up and up and up, and people just want this car now. So I've asked $22,500 for it. Where do you want to be?
In the car.
Yes, perfect. What a sweet deal. That's lovely. Congratulations. You've got yourself a cracking motor.
Thank you, Mike.